Go.
Cheers, everyone. Welcome to the Texas Toast Podcast. I'm Miss Helen, and I want to say a big cheers and a big welcome. First time guest, Hudson Westbrook. Hudson, wow, you have just really been doing some big things. Your music is just amazing.
Thank
And
you very much.
yes, we just talked about your house again, the one you just released is streaming, that which by the way, I'm just going to preface it with this. The numbers that I got in on the backstory was like a triple digit million streams. Great
Yeah,
song.
it's
But
been
let's get
insane.
I know, and you do such a great job. It just seems like you write with such roots in mind. I love your
Yeah,
writing. It takes you down a journey, but you're self-taught.
yes, with everything.
Tell me about that.
So, um, yeah, so during COVID, a bunch of kids like either had the choice to like play video games, learn a guitar, go keep going through school online, or they could, go get a job, whatever it might have looked like for them. But I was like, I'm not gonna sit here and play Xbox for like 8 hours a day and hang out with my friends over a headset. And so I just started learning guitar during COVID and then started writing my own music probably about a year and a half ago. And and then now I would say once there's a demand on it, you learn to get better a lot faster. So like the second that I put out my first song and people liked it, I was like, all right, so if people are expecting something of me, you don't want to let those people down, whether it's fans, your parents, brothers, sisters, whatever.
Oh,
And so I just started like watching YouTube videos, and then now I get to go to Nashville and like sit in rooms with people and learn it like directly from them. But um yeah, it's been a very fast learning curve, but I would say my writing actually has it's gotten more authentic as it's gone on because of I see how everyone else does write, and I just want to do something different, I want to you can't do the same thing as everyone else in music or there's no point.
right. And
So,
so you grew up in Stephenville, and
yes,
then
ma'am.
you went. Are you still at Texas Tech? 'Cause I know you were a tech student.
I'm not at Texas Tech anymore. So I dropped out probably about 2 weeks ago and we were playing ACL and my mom was out in the crowd. And I was like, I dropped out 6 months ago or 6 days ago. And my mom comes backstage after the show and she's like, I had no idea. She was like, you did what? And I was like, I dropped out. Don't be mad. I was like, trust me, everything's good. And but that was really weird being the one kid that like dropped out of college in my family. Like that was not the okay thing to do. But they understand and they respect it.
Right, because you have a plan. Obviously, music is
Yes.
is working out for you. And
Yes.
I know that Take It Slow was the first song that you wrote. When you
Mhm.
wrote that song, what place were you in and who was the first person that you played it for?
Yeah. I wrote that song actually at work with no guitar and my friend was washing cattle and actually my coworker was washing cattle and I was sitting in the corner eating lunch and I just started writing like poem, whatever. And I then like stopped. I was like, I need to get my guitar. So I got back to the dorm, got my guitar, wrote it, and then I played it first for this kid that was sitting in Guitar Center. And if I would have never met this kid, none of this would ever happen. But he was sitting in Guitar Center and he played bass, and I played it for him. He's like, dude, that's actually decent. Like that melody's really good. And so I was like, all right, well then let's go record it. Like let's try it out because I hate my job right now. And so he was like, all right. And he knew a drummer, which knew a lead player, which knew another lead player, and so we all got together in like 105-degree weather garage in Lubbock, and we're like practicing the song over and over the night before, and then we went to the studio and recorded it. This is all within like a week, and we went and recorded it, and then I posted it. The day I recorded it, I didn't have the mix, I didn't have the cover art, I didn't have anything ready to go, and it got 2 million views. And so then we had to figure all that out real fast. But I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I had to learn
Right,
fast,
right.
but it was definitely a crazy time. in my life. But
Well, you followed up with some really good songs. Two-Way Drive is one of my favorites. I love all the references. Like you got the Stockyards in there, you
yeah,
Clyde in there, you got Lubbock, you got Fort Worth, you got I-30, you got Sixth Street.
yeah,
Great job on that one. So tell me about
yeah.
that song.
Thank you. Yeah, that song was actually just about driving to the stockyards. Like it was literally, if I could like simplify it down anyway, it was raining one day in Lubbock. I started riding, and I was dating a girl from Stephenville, but I couldn't say Lubbock to Stephenville is a two-way drive because that's just not everyone's gonna know where Stephenville is. And so I did Lubbock to Fort Worth, and I was halter breaking bulls, and we'd load them up and I'd drive them there. And during those drives, I'd be like we would text each other and say, should we stop by at this Maverick gas station, which is like right off the road of it's actually I-20, but um right off the road. And I'd always say no, and then she'd want me to go there. And so I ended up just writing a song about everything that was between it. And there was times where like I'd be in college and I'd think I'd see her car or her like friends. And so yeah, that was like the next one. Then I was also thinking like people in Fort Worth and Lubbock are gonna love a song about where I'm from, you know? And that's like a due I feel like you should pay and like reference Texas and be proud of where you came from.
Yes, exactly. That's what
So,
makes that one really super special. And then great lyrics in 5 to 9, make a living from 9 to 5, but we're living from 5 to 9. I really enjoyed that one as well.
yeah. Yeah, that one's probably been my favorite so far. Like I wrote that one and walked out prouder than I've ever felt my
Nice.
entire life. And that's like what kept me honestly keeps me going is when the fans and like having a certain amount of followers is like it's super cool to have a bunch of followers and get to meet a bunch of cool people. But I think the difference in I think looking down on other people for you being able to sing and play guitar, and like I think if you're doing it for like the wrong reasons, if but like you should the way that I've figured out the easiest way to like keep going through all this because there's been days where I'm like, dude, another video or like another something or another something else is like you have fans and then like your songwriting is impacting people. Like that is the coolest thing to hear is that someone is listening to your music and like it saved their life or like they loved like that's the reason him and his wife like got married or they had their first dance to your song and you're like geez like that is why it's worth it, you know.
Yes, that's a good point. And it's like I
Um,
just love how you picked up music. But let's talk about trying to navigate the waters in the industry because you taught yourself to sing, taught yourself to songwrite. You've been in the studio. What was it like for you the first time in the studio and working with the producer?
super confusing. Like actually I've learned a lot now. Like now I can go in there and tell them exactly what I want to hear, where I want it, tempo, speed, sonically, what I want it to sound like. But now um when I was in Lubbock recording, I just walked in there, played it for him, and really just let him figure it out. I mean, it took 9 hours to record my first song, and that was with, but like my band kind of were the producers. Like it wasn't the guy that was producing it because we had already made up everything that we were gonna do. So he wasn't telling my lead player he wants this or my um fiddle player he wants this or it was just like me and my band had made up our minds and walked in there and did it. And I feel like that's so perfect for my first song because it gave a lot of room to grow.
Mhm. And there's a lot of artists and a lot of bands that do that. But you've just with your music getting out there and blowing up and growing so much, I know that
Yeah.
there had to be a little transition for you in the business.
Yeah. So as far as like producing and all that, or
Well,
as far
just
as a whole.
getting into the
Yeah.
studio and really mixing and working your
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. Um that was the that was the most different change I would say because I was recording in like Lubbock for like fun, and I was going to play like acoustic gigs for a little bit, and then like I was just kind of recording whatever songs I wanted, and using whatever I wanted as cover art, which I still do. But now it's like gotten to the level of, okay, if Hudson Westbrook falls off stage, which I did, like we're gonna notice. And like if Hudson Westbrook um has his like cover art matters now, and like
Hmm.
it's not a bad thing that it matters, but it's just a little bit more professional now, and like we have to have our stuff together for shows and make sure that we're putting on a show and we have merch, and if the links are working in my account, and if everyone got into the venue safely, or if something happened at the concert, or you have 10 good songs, pick two to put out. And it's like
Right.
it's gotten a lot more easy, but a lot more, I guess, a little bit more stressful, but it's been good, good stressful.
Well, let's talk about your start into touring and playing gigs. What were some of the first gigs that you played, and what they were like, and how you started managing that?
Yeah. So my first ever, man, I guess gig would be of my entire life would be at like a winery in Stephenville for 20 people, and then there again for like 100 people. And then I went to Hamilton and played at like a burger joint with probably 5 people there. And then came to Lubbock and played at like a sorority event, I think. And then played a sold out show at Cook's next. And so it's
Hmm.
like that was a big change. And to
Yes.
ask a kid that's never stepped on the stage to go put on a show for 2,000 people is very like was very demanding and very nerve-wracking. But I look back on it now and I'm like, dude, I would have done anything to just like walk up there and sing 12 covers and two originals and be like, yep, we're good. But
Do you
I love the live show aspect, but back then it was just kind of whatever we wanted to do, we did, and it was like I only have one song out. All my buddies just came over to Cooks, and I like knew everyone there. It was so fun. But now, um, we played Cooks, and then we went on a run with Josh Abbott out of state, and then we
Mhm.
came back to Cooks for Cotton Fest, and then we did headline tour. I'm sure I'm skipping some stuff, but headline tour I learned a lot. I learned how to like own the stage and act like it's your show and not someone else's. And
Mhm.
whatever you want to happen in those 90 minutes can happen.
Right.
And um and it's what you do with the 90 minutes that are gonna make you different or the same as other people. Or um it's like your time to like create a personal relationship with the people that listen to Spotify every day.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Have you ever wondered how artists like Treaty Oak Revival, Red Clay Strays, and Aaron Watson maintain the high quality and high demand for their merchandise? CH Lone Star Promo is the answer. Created in Texas to serve Texas artists, and they're currently offering 15% off on all merch orders from musicians. Visit chlonestarpromo.com to get started and tell them Texas Toast sent you.
I was reading the other day that it takes at least $1 million to break an artist. That's a ton of change, and it can feel overwhelming. But with social media leveling the playing field, you just need an effective strategy to release your music. Check out Release Rocket to ensure your single does not die after release day. You've already put time, effort, and tons of money into writing and recording your album. Let the guys at Release Rocket keep your new release alive.
Yeah, it seems like you're so, pardon the pun, tuned in to everything in the industry. But looking at your dates, and of course, you played ACL Fest, you played the main stage. What was that like for you?
that was interesting. It was really good. There was not a lot of country bands there, so that was interesting. But it was super fun. It was good. Um, it was kind of it was like us, and then it was like Foster the People, um, and then like a pop band. And I was like, none of this is like. It was weird being in that lineup. It was not a bad thing, but it was super weird being like, okay, Hudson Westbrook, then pumped up like Foster the
Right.
Kids, and then Benson Boone or something. Like it was just like very weird. but it was super good. It was a different vibe. It was a lot bigger. It wasn't the biggest stage that we've played, but it was just a little bit bigger, and definitely lucky to have played that. So
So, and then I know that you've got a lot of dates that you're supporting Midland. How did that come about for you?
yeah, I think I had met so me and the agency that they're with had talked to each other, and they're like, dude, do you want some Midland support dates? Like, we love what you're doing. And so they ended up throwing us some support dates. And so I think we have 4 more of those throughout the year.
You have quite a few.
Yeah.
Yes. I
Yeah.
was looking at your schedule. You got Brewster Street coming up, which is going to be a great venue for you. They're going to love you
Hmm.
there. Green Hall. Have you played either of those yet?
No, I've not.
So
So
what's the biggest thing you're looking forward to with Brewster Street and Green Hall? That's heritage venues.
yeah, Green Hall sold out. That's what I'm looking
Awesome.
forward to.
Awesome.
Brewster Street has a lot of tickets sold too, so it's like I guess I'm excited about the fact that people are showing up for the live show, and
Mhm.
I'm excited for the day after Christmas to go play Green Hall. Like, there's no other
Yes. Gosh.
like I can't complain about that. So
Yeah, that'll be a good Christmas for you and your family because then mom
I
really
know,
won't be upset about the dropping out of college
I know
because you're playing
exactly.
Green Hall the day after Christmas. Like, mom, here's a present for you. Well, since we're talking about on the subject of your family and you growing up in Stephenville, um, you seem to be so grounded with what you're doing in music. So tell me about the backstory with you, Hudson, like what you did growing up, what your interests were, what you like to do outside of music.
Yeah. So in high school, I was area vice president, and then I was chapter president, and area. So I was chapter president, area vice president, and then district president. And then for football, I played football all 3 years of high school. And then I was in student government. At Texas Tech, I was in SGA, and then was like fraternity, whatever, social. And then, so I was like super involved in high school. I had a job. I built barbed wire fence for my outside of Stephenville. And then one summer, I trimmed mesquites all summer, which was terrible.
Oh,
I
goodness.
cut
Oh,
my knee
wow.
open with a chainsaw, and it was like on a hillside. And so once I cut my knee open with the chainsaw, I didn't have to work anymore, which is nice. But and then I started my own mowing company when I was like in ninth grade that we ended up selling for like actually a good amount of money. And I was like, that was probably my number one accomplishment as like a high schooler is I built up a viable business. But and then I went to tech and started, I guess my main family thing has been to always be involved and
I can
put
tell.
yourself in
Hmm.
uncomfortable situations. So like I'd go up on stage and go talk to judges about why soil is so important, or like go up and talk about um go talk to a bunch of kids and try to get a lesson across to them of how to create communication skills, and or like workshops. And I think that helped me a ton with the instant like change.
Hmm.
And I would honestly rather be in front of 2,000 people and say something dumb than be in front of 4 people, because when there's only 4 people in front of you, you see all their reactions, you know?
Okay, so I'm glad I'm not the only one. I've said this for so many years because I've done so much
Yeah,
public speaking and I was in radio. When I was in radio, I hated doing a stage intro to like 50 people. I would rather have 15,000 people to do the stage
me too.
intro than like 50 people standing there. So I
Hmm.
totally get that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you definitely have built some leadership skills and the qualities that you gained from and the offices that you held was that FFA?
that was FA, yes, ma'am.
Oh, FFA is the best. My kids were in FFA. I was booster
Yeah,
club mom, all that stuff. Yeah. You
yeah.
definitely
So was mom.
there's such a broad scope there. There's so much that you can grasp onto. And we always had to explain it's not just about the animals. It's like the public
Yeah,
speaking,
and
all
it's
the
not
things
just
that go.
farmers. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the reason you're taking a bite off your plate is because of kids that grew up through this, and they're the
True.
ones that actually know what's going on. So it's like I don't care what you believe in, but just be an FFA. Like, know where your food comes from because you'll be a lot more thankful for it and eat every bit of it whenever you actually do.
Yes, that is so
Yeah.
true. I really enjoyed that topic of conversation. And let's go back to
Yeah.
music a little bit. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that you haven't stopped writing. I'm sure that you've probably been
Mhm.
hitting that hard outside of everything that you're doing. So will you be having, are you working on maybe a full album at some point, or just going to drop singles or EPs? Kind of what's the plan there so we can know when look
Yeah.
forward to new music.
Yeah. Yeah. So an EP on November 15th will be released. So that'll be two new songs along with the rest of my 2024 just wrap it up, give everyone two more songs. And then next year, hopefully, the plan is to release an album in August or September. So
Perfect.
maybe October,
Perfect.
whenever it feels right. I'm not gonna rush an album.
Hmm. That's
So
good. That's good. Well, I've enjoyed the
just like
visit,
cool.
and it's like everybody needs to get to know the name Hudson Westbrook if you haven't already. I know
Yeah.
we have a lot of our listeners that'll probably pick up, and I'm just so happy that we got you on the podcast to get to know you, get you introduced. We'll be following along with your music. Is there anything else that I maybe didn't cover that you want to make sure you put out to our audience?
No, nothing really. Just Instagram, Hudson Westbrook. It's all just my name, and if you want to come to a show, then you should come to a show and actually meet me because I don't like the whole social media thing. And
Oh,
I read my DMs all the time. So if you've ever DM'd me or if you do, then I'll make sure to read it.
wow. What a great
Oh,
job you're doing. Thank you for
thank
coming on the
you.
podcast, Hudson, and just keep up the good work.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.